All right, ladies and gentlemen, listen here, listen here, listen here, listen here. Um, I want to have a conversation with y'all about something that is very near and dear to me. And that is the negative impact that people will have on your creative desire. And what I mean about that is sometimes when you set yourself out on a path to be creative, you have to put people, not put people, you have to set your boundaries with people. And what I mean by that, like when I was married last time, the last time I was married, I'll say, like I used to write all the time around, because, I was, really, really in my poetry bag. And this was back in 2013, 2014, 2015, around that time frame. I was really into my poetry bag. I was going to open mics and, performing at open mics and doing all of that stuff. And what happened was I was married and, I would include her in these open mic events and stuff like that. I won't get into all the details of that, but what I will say is when the marriage started going south and the marital issues started becoming toxic, or however you want to look at that, it started to weigh in on my creativity. Now, what I mean by that is sometimes you deal with people, like when you are in some type of arts, whether it's poetry, whether it's content creation, whether it's drawing, playing an instrument, something creative. When you're in those situations and you are in a relationship where that other person is upset for whatever reason, I'm not going to try to put blame on wherever or for whatever reason. It seems that they want to take that from you. They want to divert your creative energy from that in a manner in which it stops you from being creative. I say all that to say that life is stressful enough for every individual in a certain area. And I'm not saying that it's stressful to the point that it is debilitating or anything like that. It's just that, we have stuff going on every day of our lives. We have to be adults. We have to, we have to do things. We have to spread ourselves in various places. And when you are creative, sometimes that's your outlet. And I don't think some people only see what they need out of you and not what you need for you. So what I mean by that, like when I was in my marriage, you know, and writing poetry, you write whatever comes to your mind. Regardless of the topic, it could be good, bad, or indifferent. Like you write about your experiences, your observations, and you know, just whatever comes to mind. And sometimes what some people do, well, what happened to me was I would write about certain topics, is you know, especially if I was going through it, or you know, whatever, and I would get accused of writing about that person specifically. And it's like, no, I'm not necessarily writing about you. I'm writing about what I'm feeling or how I feel about certain situations as it pertains to me. Now, that person could be a reference point, but it's not specifically about that person, because whatever one person is going through with the 8 billion people on this planet, there's probably 3/4 or more people on this planet that are probably going through the same thing you're going through, or have gone through it, or will go through it. And, you know, again, when you are creating content or being a creative person in whatever creative thing that you're doing, some people will find fault in your joys. You know, they will try to put themselves before your joys. It's like, what I'm doing is not about you, and everything can't be about you. Like, you may be the person stressing me the hell out, and this is my therapy. You know, it's like, why can't you? Here's the thing. Especially when I refer back to my marriage, it's like I was writing and doing this stuff not only long before you came along came a spider, but the things I was writing about were occurring before you and I ever went through them. Like, I have a binder, is it 3-inch binder? 3-inch binder that's it's about that thick right now, or maybe a little thinner. But it has a lot of the original poems that I wrote starting back in like 99, 97 or 99. And they are on various topics. So it's like, what I write about is nothing new. You know, the situations may differ as life goes on, and I have different experiences, but the themes are not that different. And, you know, the problem with some people is that, and don't get me wrong, this is not gender based, this is not age based, this is not ethnic based, this is not geographically based. It's just a common theme where people just don't seem to know how to separate certain things. You know how y'all out there in the world be saying, separate the art from the artist? I'm not going to say no names, but you know what I'm talking about. But in this situation, it's like, as an artist, as a creative, that is my thing. That is my hobby. That is my outlet. That is my therapy. And because that other person can't reconcile that in their heart and mind, that makes you have to set certain boundaries for people. It's unfortunate because sometimes they like to throw it in your face. And they also try to use other people to throw it in your face. For instance, when I was married, now, let me tell you, I've been divorced since 2016, but this is relevant throughout any time period in anybody's life, not just to me. But, you know, I would always get this debate, argument, or whatever you want to call it, about, oh, you can sit there and write this and write that, but you can't take care of this and you can't take care of that. And it's like, first of all, if you and I, as husband and wife, are arguing about whatever and there's no resolution, that doesn't mean life stops for either one of us, because you or I can still be a jackass about the situation. At the same time, you or I can still be creative in whatever our passion or hobby was. So don't, just because you're having a whatever issue in your relationship does not mean that hobbies and passions stop. It doesn't. The thing about it is, if you are open-minded enough, hobbies and passions could possibly be the gateway to a resolution. But again, some people don't understand. You know what? A lot of people understand. A lot of people are too stubborn and disconnected and self-serving to the point where they don't want to recognize that. And the other thing that I can compare that to is, just because you're arguing or things are going wrong, are you going to stop breathing? No. Are you going to stop going to the bathroom? I would hope not. Are any of your body functions going to stop? I don't think so. Does your brain continue processing stuff? Absolutely. So why should anything else stop completely or be put on pause? Why? You know, the other thing that I dislike when it comes to that, and I've had this happen in my marriage, is that, oh, you're doing all of this in front of your friends and in front of people, and they're saying this and they're saying that, and it's like, ain't nobody thinking about you. So, like, where are you coming up with this foolery? Like, I got that a lot in my marriage. It's like, everyone knows me to be this type of person. So just because you and I are going through something internally, I should stop what I'm doing externally that has no impact on you at all. You know, whatever's going on under our roof does not concern the world. So if they are not privy to our situation, my creativity should not stop. And another thing that I would get was, oh, my friend saw this and they said that, and they're looking, and it's like, first of all, why do your friends, why? Your friends did not give two shits about anything that I wrote. Matter of fact, I don't even know who the hell your friends are. So if I don't know who your friends are, one, I'm not going to care about their opinions. And two, why am I even a topic of discussion with your friends if I don't know them? Why do your friends know more about me than I know about them? And as a matter of fact, why? Yeah, just why? Why? So yeah, like, if your significant other, you and your significant other are going through something, and one of you is a creative and you keep being creative because that's your thing, that other person should not have an issue with your creative thing. Like, just because, oh, as a man, you got your nose in the air because your wife did this or your wife did that, or whatever the case may be, you can't rain down on her hobbies or passions if it's not detrimental to your marriage or your life. You know, sometimes you need to bring your head up out the clouds and work that out. But I don't know, people have their ways about them that are mind blowing to me. And yeah, I just do not know how some people reconcile that in their brains, but people gonna do what they gonna do. But I think that's all I had on that topic. I had some other thoughts on my mind, but I didn't want to drag this out for too long. So with that being said, that's all I have for you on this one, and I will catch you in the next one.